Hello, everyone, and welcome to Thursday morning. It's Stephen Whiteside here from the uptrend.com. In the pre-market this morning, things are fairly quiet. Stock index futures are currently trading right around fair value. That could change at 8:30 with U.S. jobless claims numbers coming out. We do have Bitcoin currently trading above 100,000, while the commodities are very quiet on Thursday morning. Starting off looking at the VIX or the fear index, it's still on a sell signal. That would change on Thursday if it were to close above 1538. And then we've got the VIX for the NASDAQ, the Russell 2000, and the TSX all on sell signals. So they all concur that options traders are still very bullish on the stock market. Looking at the major index ETFs, we've got the iShares for the TSX 60, unchanged on the day yesterday. We're trying to get to 3906. If we can take that out, then $40 may come into play. But 3906 is currently the top of our projected trading range. And then looking at the Vanguard Canada ETF, it also closed unchanged yesterday, and we're trying to get to 5313. Again, that is the top of our projected trading range. Looking at what worked yesterday, well, it was Canadian Infotech was the big winner in the Canadian market, up 1.45%, making a new high for this move. Then looking at the Dow actually closed above last week's bearish reversal day, so that signal is no longer in play. There's the SPY moving up. We're trying to get to 609.38. We may be able to hit that today. Then looking at the NASDAQ 100 ETF, we're trying to get to 531.25. We may be able to get to that today. And then the equal weighted NASDAQ, it's 134.38 is our next target. And for the next generation NASDAQ, it's $32.81. Now, Bitcoin is, of course, going to get all the news this morning, but Ethereum was doing pretty well yesterday, making a new high for this move on Wednesday. There's Bitcoin moving up. 106,250 would be our next target to the upside. Then looking at the BTCC in Toronto, if we take out the recent high, then $20.31 is our next mathematical target. Of course, you have to account for psychological resistance at $20. Then looking at the IBIT, 62.50 is our next target, with a possibility of resistance at $60. Then looking at Coinbase, Coinbase ran up towards the 343.75 recently and pulled back just below that level. If we can take that out, then 375 comes into play. Looking at Mara, we're got stuck up there at the 28.13 level, traded above it, but couldn't hold going into the close. So if we can take out 28.13 on a closing basis, then 31.25 would be our next target. Looking at MicroStrategy reversed back up at the $500 level, and that certainly would be a legitimate target to the upside at this time. Now, we've been watching Canadian bank earnings this week, and we still have the iShares for the financial sector on a buy signal. For the banks themselves, we've come right down to the lower channel line. So we're looking for a close below $42.37 on Thursday, and we closed at $42.40. So right on the edge of a new daily sell signal for the bank ETF. Obviously, when there's been weakness over the past 6 months, it's been bought fairly quickly. Not sure if that's going to be the situation this time. The Bank of Montreal still on a buy signal, making a new high yesterday. Bank of Nova Scotia, as you know, is on a sell signal right now, and so is the CIBC. And we've got the National Bank rolling over yesterday. So buy the rumors, sell the news type situation here. Then we've got the Royal Bank making a new high yesterday. It didn't hold the gains that we saw in the pre-market yesterday, and it certainly didn't hit 181.25. It got up to $179.86, so obviously $180. There are some sellers up at that level, and if we can take out 180, then 181.25 would come into play. Now, yesterday was a bearish reversal day, but it also closed higher on the day. So yes, we did get a big reversal off the high of the day, and where we opened, we closed lower than we opened, but still we ended the day higher. So it's not a significant bearish reversal day. It certainly is not spooking me at this time. And of course, last up, we've got TD Bank still in the doghouse. Our mathematical area of resistance is 79.69. We closed at 79.66 yesterday. Of course, if we can take out the recent highs, then the 81.25 and 82.81 would come into play. Let's finish off this morning's presentation looking at Magnificent 7 price targets. Of course, for us, it's the Magnificent Nine, and we'll go through those stocks. Looking at the ETF itself, it's coming up to the 54.69 level. I'd want to take some money off the table up there. Then we've got Apple. Apple's heading towards 243.75. If we can take that out, then 250 would be our next major target. For Amazon, we're trying to get to 225. For Alphabet, we're back on a buy signal now, trying to get to 181.25. Then looking at Meta. Meta is trying to get to 625. Looking at Microsoft, we made it right up and closed on our next price target of 437.50. If we can take out the September high, then 453.13 comes into play with some psychological resistance at 450. Then we've got NVIDIA back on a buy signal here. And of course, NVIDIA has struggled to get through 150. If we can get through 150, then 156.25 would be our next target for NVIDIA. For Shopify in New York, our next target is 125. And then for Shopify in Toronto, it's 175. For Tesla, we're struggling to get up to the 375 level. If we can do that, then 400 and 406.25 would come into play. But we're not there just yet. And last up, Taiwan Semiconductor, sitting right on the $200 level. We closed at $200.69. If we can take out the November high, then 212.50 would come into play, and possibly 225 if the rally wants to continue. But I think it'll be a bit of a struggle to get over that November high up to the 212.50 level. Okay, folks, that is all for this morning's presentation. Again, the futures are kind of flat at the moment. Those jobless claims numbers could certainly change the direction of the market at 8:30. You have a great day. Next time you'll hear my voice is on Friday morning, and at that time we'll walk through the most actively traded stocks from Thursday's trading action.